Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video, all in crypto here. And today we are going to be looking at the chief legal officer from the Web3 Foundation giving his testimony in Congress. Now, the Web3 Foundation is, of course, behind Polkadot. And I found this very interesting. The cryptocurrency market finds itself in a state of confusion in regards to regulatory clarity across the board. And recently, there's been a lot of hearings in regards to digital assets, crypto, stablecoins, the whole shebang. And for me, I'm very bullish on regulations. I think if you look at any technological revolution, regulations have generally been a part of it. And actually, the point of a technological revolution getting regulated is usually the point where it really goes on that adoption trail. And I think crypto, even without that existing in this kind of gray area, has done exceptionally well. And there's a few interesting clips here. One of the clips is, of course, the individual talking about the dawn of the internet. And this is something that we've always referenced in regards to trying to understand what's really going on here with the crypto space. So I thought it would be interesting and useful for me to play these clips of him specifically within this hearing and let you guys sort of take from it what you will. I'm not going to do too much talking, just really playing the clips and maybe intervening. We'll start with the first one of him introducing himself, Polkadot and the Web3 Foundation, and then we'll move swiftly through them. So it's not going to be that much of a long video, but a very interesting one. And if you're interested in Polkadot, if you're interested in crypto broadly, or any of the parachains on Polkadot, this is a good video, I think, to kind of get everyone up to date legally with where we are in regards to the US.
Chairman McHenry, Chairman Thompson, Chairman Hill, Chairman Johnson, and Ranking Member Waters, Ranking Member Scott, Ranking Member Lynch, Ranking Member Caraveo, and other members of the committees. On behalf of the Web3 Foundation and the Polkadot ecosystem, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to testify today regarding blockchain technology and the benefits of Web3. I am Daniel Schönberger, the Chief Legal Officer at the Web3 Foundation, and I've worked at the intersection of emerging technologies, law, ethics, and public policy for more than 20 years. The Web3 Foundation was formed with the goal of establishing Web3, a new and better internet infrastructure. It wasn't about building a currency like Bitcoin or a smart contract platform like Ethereum. It was about giving siloed blockchains the ability to communicate with each other, and to realize this vision, the Polkadot network was built. Now think of Polkadot as the SMTP protocol of the internet used to send and receive email, and think of layer 1 blockchains such as Bitcoin or Ethereum as email providers like Yahoo or Google. Polkadot allows these distinct programs to communicate with a seamless connection and interoperability. Without this infrastructure, this would not be possible. The native token of the Polkadot network is a blockchain-based token known as DOT, D-O-T that is. It should be thought of as the orchestrating tool used to secure and govern Polkadot. To facilitate the creation of this ecosystem, a future DOT token was sold in private sales from 2017 to 2019. The foundation treated DOT as a security in accordance with Regulation S&D, and the foundation confirmed the identity of the original buyers through KYC and AML checks. After 3 years of engagement with SEC staff, the foundation believes DOT is no longer security based on the Howey test. DOT also satisfies the factors indicating a token is less likely to be a security as set out in the framework for investment contract analysis of digital assets, as it was issued by the SEC Strategic Hub for Innovation in Financial Technology, FinHub. Given DOT's functionalities and properties, the Foundation thinks of DOT as merely coordinating software. The Foundation suggests putting DOT in a separate category, for example, a class of utility tokens. The most important regulatory concern for the Foundation is the classification of tokens. Both Switzerland and the European Union have created a clear framework distinguishing between payment tokens, security tokens, and utility tokens. Under the current US regulatory approach, a token is forced to fit into limited categories. However, it is not always clear in which category a token should be placed. As a simple example, the chair I'm sitting in could be tokenized. Also, there will be some tokens that will have the characteristics of a particular asset class, and at a time in the future will cease to have those characteristics. This is part of the nature and innovation of blockchain technology. Clearly, a legislative process to re-evaluate a token is necessary. The SEC staff has already outlined a path to evaluate the status of a digital token. The Foundation suggests that Congress establish a procedure through legislation to authorize regulators to re-evaluate the status of tokens. And let me be very clear. If a token is used for fundraising purposes, it should be subject to all applicable laws and regulations. However, that same token may serve a functional purpose devoid of speculative investment in the future. We fully support putting into place a legally binding process of token reclassification. And we applaud the subcommittees for undertaking the hard work and deliberation necessary to develop a legislative framework. We would ask you do so with the understanding and approach that recognizes new technologies. To simply apply existing regulation would be inadequate to truly address this emerging technology. We look forward to helping the committees develop a comprehensive framework for all token classification in the US, and are confident that with clear statutory guidelines, the US will continue to lead the world in innovation. I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you very much.
Isn't that interesting? You know, one reason I'm such a fan of Dart, and I think he makes a nice distinguish between layer ones like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Polkadot. One reason I'm so interested in Polkadot is because it's just simply different. You know, I've been in the blockchain space for a long time now. I've seen lots of the same thing. One thing that really attracted me to Polkadot was that it just did blockchain in a completely different way. We've interviewed some amazing developers building on Polkadot. We've interviewed Bill Laboon from the Web3 Foundation, the head of grants and education. That was the first clip. We've got a couple more guys, so there's not that much to get through. But honestly, I found this information refreshing to hear. I found it encouraging and interesting, more importantly. So this is the second clip, 2 more to go, and then we will close this video out.
In your testimony, you mentioned that Polkadot is ranked as a top industry participant when it comes to your protocol's level of decentralization. In my bill, the Token Taxonomy Act, one of the bright line elements I propose for defining whether a digital asset is a security or not is the degree of control that an issuer would have over the digital asset. So when this body writes laws that will help distinguish between what is and is not a security, do you believe that we should factor in the level of decentralization that protocol has, like proof of stake?
I very much think so, that this is a crucial point, because community consensus, which goes back to decentralization, is at the core of the idea of Web3. And if we look at the DOT token, what it does, it's essentially a piece of orchestrating software. It's technology. It's a piece that helps access and participate in the broader network bit. And I think we should look at what these tokens do if we want to regulate them, as opposed to like what they're called. And the foundation launched the network and gradually gave up control. Like, that was a launch process that lasted a year and a half, but ultimately seized central control, be it at the technical or a governance level.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. And how do we measure when that point occurs? I think of Protocol Labs and Filecoin in a similar path, where they very overtly used our existing framework.
We'll leave that clip there. On to the next. That was very interesting. He mentions Filecoin. Data storage is something really interesting to me, but that's for another video. The next clip.
Mr. Schoenberger, would you discuss what it means for digital asset to be functional and decentralized, and why these features have become the end goal for so many digital asset projects?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. Well, I would say this is certainly true for DOT and some other projects, probably not for all. For those where that applies, we need to go back to the Web3 vision that is based on community consensus, and this necessarily requires that there's no central entity controlling the network. And the Web3 Foundation, during the launch of the Polkadot network, gave up control over the network and handed that over to the community very early in the game. So that's the decentralization part. Being functional simply means some token needs to be more than simply a means of payment or a vehicle for investment. In the case of DOT again, this gives you access to the network. It's used for securing the network. It's used for participating in the governance, and also if you want to lease a blockchain on top of the network.
Thank you for that. One follow-up. In your
Let's leave that one there and get on to the last clip, which I found an interesting one.
Thank you very much for the question, Congresswoman. I think the comparison with the internet is the best one here, because if we look back, what made the internet really take off was the open standards and protocols that were enabled by a framework of regulation that allowed this. That framework tried to understand the potentials of these technologies and cater to them. We think that Web3 technologies offer the same potentials and benefits. And we also think that we are about there where the internet was 25 years ago. So no one knows what will come from this, but the potential is huge. And what we need is certainly legal certainty around these questions. And I'd very quickly like to comment on what Congressman Torres mentioned, because that was exactly our journey here. We tried to go a process together with SEC staff from a security that DOT once was when we sold it for fundraising purposes to a non-security. And while that process sort of worked, it took 3 years, and still after putting in all that effort, the Web3 Foundation in the end was left without any tangible validation in its hands. So this very clearly shows that we need legal certainty by statute.
Thank you.
Isn't that interesting? I think that's exactly where we are. 25 years ago when the internet was just getting started, we're there today, but with blockchain. And it's a very exciting future that we've got ahead of us. I love the fact that the Web3 Foundation is called the Web3 Foundation because it's trying to be exactly that. On that note, guys, I'm going to love and leave you. Enjoy your Wednesdays and catch you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon.